Okay, so a real quick video. I'm here at the studio here in at the Painting Panda Pottery Studio here in Tacoma, um, and so we finally got to go back to getting things going and that type of thing. So it's great. So I have my mask that we have to wear. Pierce County, Tacoma, is one of the, and I'm going to look over here by mistake because my camera's this way. I don't know. But so if you see me looking that way, then that's why. But basically, what was it, Friday? Yeah, on Friday, we were approved as a county and as a city to move forward in phase two. So that's been good. Noelle actually came in on Friday, started doing a lot of work. She started painting the walls. If you follow our Painting Panda YouTube channel, there's a video I did talking about some of the updates and things that are changing and happening here. But she went through, painted this wall back here as well as these other walls here. We haven't gotten this wall over here, which is going to be the most challenging part because we have a whole lot of pottery we got to move out of the way. Some of those things are bolted to the wall, so I got to bring in equipment, remove some of the shelves off the wall so that we can paint it and even out the color because it just was looking bad. I got to put some tape up there so that I can paint at a certain line point and all of that. So there's some more minor things we need to do, but the studio is pretty much up and going. We've had a few people pick up some things and different things like that, so that's great. But that is not what this video is actually about, right? This video is actually going to talk about our garden. Now, our garden, and I know that's a long 2-minute segue into something that has nothing to do with this, but that's what I do. I do my tangents, but they're kind of tied. Our garden really didn't do what we wanted it to do last year because we started the studio up, and because we did that, we didn't spend a lot of time in our garden. In fact, our strawberry patches pretty much destroyed. The weeds took it over, just knocked out. I mean, there's still strawberries in there, but it's going to take a lot of work to get it back up to where it should be. The strawberries were very vigorous. I mean, we were getting huge amounts of strawberries at a time. And these were plants that we moved all the way from Seattle when we had a pea patch up there down to Tacoma when we had this house. So they've been around for a long time. And they started off with 3 plants and they quickly ballooned out. Well, the plants actually creeped over into a small container. I took that container and transplanted that into a completely different area of the garden. And so it started to take off. It actually has more fruit, but again, you're talking 3 or 4 strawberries. At this point last year, we would get at least, I don't even know how to describe how much we would get, but it was a lot for us to actually enjoy. I mean, there were times when we had enough to really give to other people. So the strawberry part is a little bit of a disappointment. Noelle didn't want to do a whole lot because the studio takes up a lot of our time. So, I'm not going to be there to be able to water and take care of it like I had done before. She's not there to nurture it and do the things that she was doing. So she didn't want to do a whole lot. So we didn't really get started the way that we wanted to. But that doesn't mean that we didn't do anything. So we do have a corn box. The corn box is being reused. We're growing some corn in there, watermelon, might be some pumpkins growing. And I don't know if any of the watermelon have taken off. That's the thing. Birds and things like that just come along and just take everything. Some of the seeds have been washed up. When we planted, it was very rainy during that time. So a lot of things have gotten washed up or got rotted in the soil. So it hasn't been great. The one good area, or a couple of good areas, is actually in the raspberries. We have raspberries that took off. We started off with one tiny plant that kind of came through from the neighbor's property. They had raspberries, and the raspberries just kind of migrated over And when they sold the house next door, they ripped up all of the raspberries on that side, but we had ours. And so they've grown into a huge area. So we actually are getting raspberries in a huge amount. Last year we also planted the blueberries, remember? So I put in a whole lot of blueberries, and so that was good. So we had 3 different types of blueberries. They're all next to each other over there by the strawberry patch. I did plant a long strip, kind of as a privacy screen, of sunflowers over in that area. The problem is it hasn't been warm enough in this area, in Tacoma. I mean, just yesterday and the weeks prior, it's been in the 60s and sometimes in the 50s. It's just not hot enough for things to really take off. The soil temperature is just so low. So that's been a challenge. A lot of things are just now trying to get off. Like I have a corn that's about this tall, but only one. The others are smaller than that. They haven't done so hot. One area that I also am doing pretty good in, that I'm thinking about selling actually, is mint. We have enough mint to sell for teas. Now, this is the mint that we grow and we use for our tea. I had a tea garden. Sorry. The commuter train's coming in pretty fast, actually. But I have a tea garden, and the mint has exploded. I mean, there's so much that we just aren't going to have any use for it. There are some people who have offered to buy it, but that may be something that I consider in the future, is just selling tea, because there's just so much of it. It has really, really done gangbusters. I have enough different types of stuff to have different types of tea. So that's something that we're looking at. One of the areas that I was disappointed in is the Moringa tree. Moringa trees grow in hot climates. That's what they love. They don't have a problem growing in other climates, but when you're talking about an area like this where the temperatures just are not hot, I mean, the optimal temperatures for this Moringa tree is typically going to be about 4 days out of the year for us. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't have the right amount of temperature for it. Now, it's been very humid lately and kind of muggy. That helps. But I did a video of planting the moringa into a pot, and it hasn't done well. And the reason why is because of temperature. I know there are going to be some people that will say, well, you didn't do the seeds correctly. That's not true, and I'll tell you the reason why that's not true. But the seeds, if you notice, I basically did not soak them, didn't do any of that. I did actually take my fingernail and cut through the seed core. I didn't peel them off or anything. And so I planted them. The problem is that there has been a lot of rain after that, and it's been fairly cold. We're talking temperatures 57 to 65 has been the range for several weeks on end. The seeds just can't take off that moisture. They're just going to rot, basically. Now, they still may. I have left them. I haven't done anything. In the next couple of weeks, it's going to be, maybe even next month, it's going to be very, very hot. Very, very hot. So that gives it an opportunity. But I wasn't sure if the seeds I got were duds. So what I did was actually I took 6 seeds, and 3 of them I left the hull on. 3 of them I took them out of the actual hull, right? I soaked them in water for about 24 hours just to see, right? The ones with the hull, I did the same thing. I actually put my nail into each one of them. So I didn't do anything. I didn't peel anything off, just scratched them with my nail. The other seeds that I peeled everything off, I didn't scratch them or score them on the side. I just let them soak in the water for 24 hours, took them out of water, put them in a wet paper towel, put them in the window. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Because the window that I put them in is one of the main areas of the house. And the way that we have our house air system is that it just circulates the air through. So it's pretty cool air. That window does get some sun, but we're talking very limited, and it's not very hot at all. So I took it out of that window. What's strange is that window is on the same side of where I have another window that scorches everything. You put something there, it just scorches it. Even cactus get too hot there. So it acts kind of like a huge reflector, and it just burns things. So I didn't put it in that window. So the seeds didn't do anything until I put them, and I even had them in a plastic bag and everything, until I put them into one of the warmer rooms in our house, which is the man cave. The man cave is an old garage that was converted into a room before we purchased it, and it gets very hot in there. There's also a window that is sunny for most of the day, and we put a tent into that window just so that it doesn't make the room so hot. And you can notice the difference, but it still gets pretty hot. Even on a normal day of 70 degrees, it gets pretty warm in there. Put that in the window, and literally a few days later, you start seeing sprouts. Not only from the ones that I took the husk off, but the one that has the entire husk on it. So one of the tips I would tell you is, for a fact, with the Moringa tree, it doesn't really matter so much if you were to peel the husk off or if you leave it. If you do leave the entire shell the way it is, score the side of it with your nail so that water can penetrate through and get actually to the seed. The other thing I would say is, for now, if you don't have a lot of them, I have a few more, so I'll do some more tests. Make sure you soak them for 24 hours just to see what happens, just to make sure, because I know for certain that works. Now I'm going to try again without soaking them for 24 hours and then just putting them in a, everything else is the same, and see what happens. But so I would say if you got some seeds, you can score them on the side if you leave them, or you can peel them if you want to. Make sure they soak 24 hours. Next step after that is to put them in a wet paper towel. Make sure it always stays kind of wet, not just dripping wet, but definitely damp. Make sure you fold it over the seeds, so make a sandwich with them. Put them in a Ziploc bag. Make sure that you leave it a little bit open, and then put it in a warm window so that you actually have some good heat and airflow within the bag. So you don't want to zip tie it or seal it completely. You want to leave a little bit of a hole so that there's some air that can circulate in and out. That bag will get very, very warm, and that should definitely work. So stay tuned. Once these get a little bit bigger, so far I've gotten roots, I think, on 2 of the seeds that I left everything there, and then the one seed that I peeled everything off, I'm getting a root on that. So once they get a little bit bigger, then I will transplant them into the original pot that I had, and then we'll go from there. Then you can see what's going on. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you join our Discord, which will be down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.